All right, first time seeing this. So ball one lock was kind of stuck under the building at this angle when the game tried to dump the ball after a game over. When the building came back up, because it was in the down position ready to lock into the ball, when the building came back up, it was stuck like this. And this part was up against the glass and the motor couldn't get the building back to its reset position. So with the glass slid down like this, I'm gonna reset the building. All right, so I recreated the issue with the ball getting stuck right here. All I did was I went to the building stepper motor test and I kept pressing the right button until it went down to the very bottom position where it's supposed to dump the ball, and then it got stuck in this position. After it did this, it went back up and stayed stuck and pushed this piece up against the glass. So what I'm going to do now is see if I can manually adjust the stepper for the building and get it in its right position. As you can see, when it's out of adjustment, like it was during the last game, if I try to close the glass, it just pushes up against, oh, there it goes. It just pushes up against the building. So that's what it was doing, and it still wasn't able to go all the way up. All right, so I adjusted the building stepper bias up to almost its highest position, and now the ball rolls freely. When I adjusted it lower, it was it opened even less. So I still feel like it's just barely clearing. I guess I never really paid attention to how much it cleared, but it seemed to clear more than that. Feels good for now, so now I'm just gonna test it as if we were playing a game and see if it acts normal. All right, here's ball 3 lock. Let's see if we get normal activation. God, it's too loud. So after fixing the issue with the tower, we had this guy go out. I just started playing some games after the test game because this game is super fun and this guy wasn't activating. So I have it in test mode right now. So if I press left switch, nothing happens. Right switch, something happens. Left switch, nothing happens. So more than likely, this is just gonna have to be replaced. I'll look underneath to see if something's missing, but we'll check. These are the 2 power line switches. This is the one that's working. This is the one that's not. There's nothing disconnected, frayed, cut, or unplugged. So I'm gonna be taking this guy out and swapping this switch. 1/4-inch nut driver on this. I really recommend using magnetic on most stuff because the screws fall out super easily, and underneath the play fields, there's tons of places for you to be able to lose them. So magnetic 1/4-inch nut driver. Found a random screw, so we're gonna put this in the coin box until we see somewhere on the play field this guy can go. So just as soon as I unscrewed this, there was a little tiny piece of cold solder that like popped off. So I'm gonna strip this wire and then see if this switch is still good. So I'm gonna strip this wire, connect it back to this guy, and see if this switch is still working. So I'm gonna hold down this switch here. I got my stripped piece off right there. I get activation. So it looks like there was just the solder got old, cold, and just broke off, and it probably just looked like it was still in there. And as soon as I wiggled it to remove it, it's broke off. So we're going to clean up the solder on this and re-solder this guy onto the switch. All right, we got that soldered back together, so now we should still hear the switch hit. All right, we didn't even have to use a spare. We just had to fix a cold broken solder. So I forgot to get this on film, but this coil stop on the right flipper, there was a lot of black dust and golden debris beneath it. So I went ahead and decided to change it out. So I always recommend changing the coil sleeves because they can get frayed pretty easily. Even if they have a little bit of life left in them or whatever, they're only like 15 cents each. So they decrease the plunger arm of the flipper to move smoothly if they get like this. So just go ahead and replace them. And the coil stop, this thing is super beat up. That's supposed to be solid. And this is about as bad as they get before they just break off. So we'll look at a good one. You can see there's no play in it. The rivet's smooth. This is what it should look like. Flat. This one even has like a little bit of a concave. So what I do is I buy a bunch of these rebuild kits because I never know which parts I'm gonna need out of them. Sometimes I get the arms, sometimes I just need a hinge, sometimes I just need a few spare bolts. They come with coil stops and sleeves as well, but I also buy bags of stops and sleeves. But it's nice to have extra parts like these brackets as well that hold the flippers. So I always recommend your first set of spare parts or replacement parts, get a little bit more than what you need, and over time you'll have spares for when you don't want to have to order something. So right before I start tightening these up, I noticed that this part of the flipper assembly has this part on the outside. I don't know what this little plastic piece is called. Basically, there's a switch back here, the end of stroke switch, that when this moves, it's supposed to hit this switch, and when it disconnects, it says, hey, the flipper has completed its entire motion. So it knows to stop applying power, basically, to the flipper. So like this one, if I flip the flipper, it separates it, saying the flip is complete. This one, nothing's gonna happen. So more than likely, someone else might have replaced this and not have had the correct part. And I mean, it works, like it still flips. It just probably sags a little bit or goes too far down or goes too far up, or maybe it's applying too much power at the end of the flip. So the flipper still works, but we're gonna also replace this with the correct left flipper arm assembly. I don't know what this little plastic piece is called, but we're gonna swap out this part here. Now we have the correct side flipper assembly on there. So when we move the flipper, it hits that end of stroke switch, just like the one on the right side. Every time you take apart any part of the flipper assembly, you want to make sure that the flipper gets lined back up. I use these holes as a guide, so I point the center of the flipper towards that hole, and then you come underneath. I don't know if I can get the camera to focus on it, but this part right here, that's the Allen bolt that you're going to need to tighten right there. There we go. That's the Allen bolt you're going to need to tighten while you're making sure it's adjusted properly. All right, so after all that, we should get two things in switch test. We should get end of stroke switch. Oh, let's turn on the playfield. There we go. We should get end of stroke switch. That left flipper EOS is what we're looking for. And then up here, we should get, yeah, power line left. All right, so we fixed the issue with the tower. We fixed power line left, and we replaced the coil stop and sleeve on here, and we replaced the flipper arm assembly and coil stop. Nope, sorry, the flipper arm assembly and the sleeve on this one, and readjusted the flipper. So now Godzilla should be good to go. All right, I spoke too soon. It looks like we also have a dead plunger. So this spring is supposed to have a washer on either side of it, and looks like the washer broke maybe, but I don't know. When I take this apart, the spring might still be good, and we got to just replace that one washer, or we might replace the spring and the washer. So taking off the plunger is really simple. All you have to do is take off the front rubber piece, the E-clip that sits in this notch. Then there's a metal washer. So you want to compress the spring, grab that metal washer, slide the spring off, and then there's a nylon washer that sits up against this part here. Then you should just be able to slide this guy out. Now we can replace these parts. So this definitely snapped. You can tell it's like sheared off right there. So this probably just happens from people shooting the ball as hard as possible, either out of frustration or just, you know, boredom, or trying to, I don't know, shoot a secret shot that you can only hit by hitting as hard as possible. All right, we got a new spring on there. Way better.